Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Moretta from PNW Bettas, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the process of opening my fish door for the day. I fully intended to film this as a TikTok, but something got lost in my brain in translation and I filmed this whole sequence in horizontal. So I figured I would just give more detail in a voiceover and make it a YouTube video instead. So just be warned, there are some vertical clips at the end of this video because I again forgot what I was doing and thought I was filming vertically the whole time. So I do apologize for that. So of course the first part of my day is coming into the store, disarming the security system, and then I'm going through and turning on all of the lights. I do keep a lot of stuff on timers, like all of the 20 long aquariums and all of my reptile lighting and heating, but there are some things that I do manually. And even though this shrimp shelf is mostly on timers, I did have to reset them because I got a little bit messed up over the weekend. And then all the overhead stuff has to also be turned on manually as well. Now, my Foresta is something I really should put on a timer. For this tank, I use a Chihiro's WRGB2, so it totally does hook up to my phone, but it got disconnected at one point when we flipped a breaker. And I don't know if I just need to update the app or something, but it just will not reconnect. And I do also plug in the solenoid for our CO2 system on that as well. This big tank in the front just has two little Higer clip-ons, and you can see it is empty right now, but we are going to be working on doing some fancy goldfish soon. But we really want that tank to look nice as well, so we are going to do just a bit of aquascaping before we start stocking the goldfish tank. Now I'm just coming behind the checkout counter, pulling out our iPad. This is what runs our POS system. My employee is also coming in later today, so I worked on a little bit of a to-do list. This is just all of the things that I want to happen between now and when we close in the evening. So for today, I was hoping to have the invertebrate cubes water changed, spot clean all of the tanks that are an auto water change, but auto water change doesn't remove manual cleaning, it just makes it a lot easier. We do still regularly clean those tanks for debris at the bottom with a siphon, and we scrub for algae as well. This plan did get a little bit messed up today just because a shipment ended up arriving, but most of that ended up getting done. So that is everything on the front of the store ready. Now I just got to finish the back room, which is our better room. We do have overhead lighting, and sometimes I don't turn this on, but I guess I decided to today because all of the shelves and the plants have lighting, and it does make the room pretty bright, especially with those shrimp shelves as well. We have our floating plant bins right back here, and then I'm going to go turn on the lights for the betta shelves. One thing I do want to mention is that you may notice the betta tanks are a pretty dark color, and I know that can look really scary, but the reason all of our betta tanks look like tea is because we just got in some store-used catappa leaves, and I added a bunch to all the betta tanks. It's really beneficial for the fish, and even though it has kind of a funky color, it does not mean the water's dirty. But it was time to water change the betta tanks because it does have to be done 3 times a week. So I started prepping the water change tubs. We have one for dirty water and one for clean water. I did have to finish draining the dirty water tub. We just use a water pump, and then I clip that on to our sink. And then from this sink, I do have to dechlorinate it, but we do have another sink in our basement that is fully chlorine-free with a carbon filter. But we just keep the gallon of prime here to dechlorinate whenever we're using water from this sink. And then I just match the temperature and clip on my python so it does not end up falling and spraying water everywhere, which I may or may not have done this morning, but I cut that out, so you didn't see it. So I just started getting those filled up, and my rule is to not walk away from this. I did a very good job and did not let this overflow, but it definitely has happened in the past, so we probably need to invest in some float valves at some point, because a 30-gallon tub does take a few minutes to fill, and I tend to start to want to work on other projects during that time. I also did just a little bit of reptile care before we opened. This is one of my gecko's tanks, which actually is on the sales floor. Her name is Ezra. She is a crested gecko. She's about 7 years old right now, and she's one of our little store mascots. She does hide most of the day, so if you come in, you probably won't actually get to see her unless she's out and about, but she's very friendly, and she is. I then went and headed over to my 20 longs to do my very fun job of checking for dead fish. Checking for dead fish before you open is something that literally every pet store has to do. We actually really rarely have deads in the morning. Most of the time, all of our fish are alive and very, very healthy. But I do still have to go through that process of checking all of them in the morning, making sure they all look good. If there's something that looks odd, we'll take a closer look, and then just making sure there are no deceased fish in the aquariums. One of the other things that I did this morning was set up some alarms on our iPad. These are just for when we open and when we close. And we also have a new system for my employee to clock in and clock out, so I put a couple reminders in there as well. I also have these alerts set up on my own cell phone, but I think it makes sense for the store iPad to have it too. I took out the trash, which normally has to happen over the weekend. And then for some reason, I filmed like 10 minutes of me sweeping the entire 1,000 square foot store. So I obviously sped through that, but that is something I do generally after the weekend as well. Our current schedule is that we are open Thursday through Saturday. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are our weekend, sort of. I say sort of because Monday is shipping day and Tuesday is when shipments come in. So Thursday, when we get back to the store, we'd like to sweep it, get it all nice and clean and ready for the week. Like you can see, I did not overflow the water change bin, but I just put the tube back. And now it's all ready for doing some betta water changes. I would normally like to water change all of the betta tanks before we open, which was my plan for today. But we'll see here in just a second what ended up happening. I was just getting them ready when I noticed there is a semi-truck in the alleyway, and they go through here a lot, so it's not necessarily out of the ordinary. So I started grabbing all the cards between the betta tanks. I do remove these before I water change. It just gives them a little bit of time to flare and makes it easier to put all of the containers back on the shelf. And then I grabbed my first fish and started water changing. It's super simple. We just pour out the dirty water and hopefully not the fish into the dirty bin. And then we've already temp matched the clean water, so we just fill the tub back up. This moves the fish around the least while getting them the largest water change. This fish accidentally went past my hand and ended up in the bin, and right about then I got a knock on my door. It turns out that truck was for us. It was a pallet delivery from UNS. The kind of frustrating part about this is they did not call ahead to schedule the shipment. They just showed up, and it was 10 minutes before we opened the store. So this is me slowly taking down the pallet. We just cut it open and bring it in piece by piece. These are also all of the vertical clips, which are so unfortunate. And partway through doing this, my employee showed up, which was awesome because I had a lot more help bringing in all of this stuff. We actually had a customer come right at noon as well. It was so nice and helped us unload stuff. I told him he definitely did not need to help, but he was so nice about it, and it was really sweet. Despite the bad timing, I was really excited to get this shipment because I've been out of so much stuff that we really need. So we have more tanks, more hardscape, more filters, more heaters, more lights. And at this point, it's noon, which means our store is open. So that will conclude our opening of the store. That is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And now that we have more product in the store, I'm finally going to film the full fish store tour for you guys real soon.